Was a survivor of the Auschwitz and Buchenwald Nazi concentration camps, going on to write 57 books on the Holocaust and other subjects. The Nobel Committee called him a messenger to mankind, stating that his struggle to come to terms with his own personal experience of total humiliation and of the utter contempt for humanity shown in Hitler's death camps, as well as his practical work in the cause of peace, delivered a powerful message of peace, atonement, and human dignity to humanity. The following is an excerpt from his acceptance speech.
Elie Wiesel survived the unimaginable horrors of a Nazi concentration camp. Years later, he writes passionately about the causes of human suffering, encouraging active resistance to oppression. In 1986, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, recognizing a life dedicated to fighting injustice. In Wiesel's own words, to remain silent and indifferent is the greatest sin of all.
And it is with a profound sense of humility that I accept the honor, the highest there is, that you have chosen to bestow upon me. I know your choice transcends my person. Do I have the right to represent the multitudes who have perished? Do I have the right to accept this great honor on their behalf? I do not. No one may speak for the dead. No one may interpret their mutilated dreams and visions. And yet, I sense their presence. I always do, and at this moment more than ever. The presence of my parents, that of my little sister, the presence of my teachers, my friends, my companions. This honor belongs to all the survivors and their children, and, through us, to the Jewish people with whose destiny I have always identified. I remember. It happened yesterday, or eternities ago. A young Jewish boy discovered the kingdom of night. I remember his bewilderment. I remember his anguish. It all happened so fast. The ghetto, the deportation, the sealed cattle car, the fiery altar upon which the history of our people and the future of mankind were meant to be sacrificed. I remember he asked his father, "Can this be true? This is the 20th century, not the Middle Ages. Who would allow such crimes to be committed? How could the world remain silent?" And now the boy is turning to me. "Tell me," he asks, "what have you done with my future? What have you done with your life?" And I tell him that I have tried. That I have tried to keep memory alive. That I have tried to fight those who would forget. Because if we forget, we are guilty. We are accomplices. And then I explained to him how naive we were, and that the world did know, and remained silent. And that is why I swore never to be silent whenever, wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation. We must take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. Sometimes we must interfere. When human lives are endangered, when human dignity is in jeopardy, national borders and sensitivities become irrelevant. Wherever men and women are persecuted because of their race, religion, or political views, that place must, at that moment, become the center of the universe. Human rights are being violated on every continent. More people are oppressed than free. How can one not be sensitive to their plight? Human suffering anywhere concerns men and women everywhere. There is so much to be done. There is so much that can be done. One person, a Raoul Wallenberg, an Albert Schweitzer, Martin Luther King Jr., one person of integrity can make a difference of life and death. As long as one dissident is in prison, our freedom will not be true. As long as one child is hungry, our life will be filled with anguish and shame. What all these victims need, above all, is to know that they are not alone, that we are not forgetting them, that when their voices are stifled, we shall lend them ours, that while their freedom depends on ours, the quality of our freedom depends on theirs. This is what I say to the young Jewish boy wondering what I have done with his years. It is in his name that I speak to you, and that I express to you my deepest gratitude as one who has emerged from the kingdom of night. We know that every moment is a moment of grace. Every hour an offering. Not to share them would mean to betray them. Our lives no longer belong to us alone. They belong to all those who need us desperately.
Then he had to ride all the way back home wearing nothing but a Union Jack. There's a bunch of pictures on Facebook. You guys totally got to see it.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm late. Did you start already or not?
No, we didn't. Thank goodness. I have rehearsal right after this, so does anybody have the prompt ready?
I have the prompt here.
Good. Finally.
In his Nobel Prize acceptance speech, Elie Wiesel argues against remaining silent in the presence of evil. Why? What does Wiesel mean by the kingdom of night? In an essay of at least 300 words, describe the challenges and rewards of taking a stand against wrongdoing. You may draw on personal experience to strengthen your argument.
Personal testimony. You know, sometimes I think Jennings should have been a shrink instead.
Yes.
So this Elie Wiesel, what's he so bummed out about?
Elie Wiesel
Elie
survived
Wiesel.
the concentration camps as a kid, wrote a memoir about it, pretty big stuff here.
Night.
Night, right.
Yes.
Did you read it?
No, I haven't, but I looked it up, and supposedly it chronicles everything that he went through, from going to the camps with his father and losing his faith in God.
So is he accepting the Nobel Prize for Literature, or?
He's actually accepting the Nobel Peace Prize.
Right, which is why he opens with saying he has to accept the prize on behalf of the whole Jewish people. He says here, "I know your choice transcends my person."
It makes a lot more sense knowing that he's not being honored as just a talented writer.
But the thing is, he wouldn't have even gotten the Nobel Peace Prize if he hadn't gone to those camps, right?
Right.
That's what he means when he says right here that he's only here because a young Jewish boy discovered the kingdom of night. Kingdom of night. That's the Holocaust.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's also a reference to his book, right? And I don't know. I kind of don't think he's just
Really?
calling that time the kingdom of night as some sort of artsy way of saying the Holocaust or
Well,
even
I
death
didn't
camps.
mean it like
No,
that,
but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I think he also is saying that the world in which these things could happen.
Which is a big deal to Wiesel. He has that line in here. Can this be true? This is the 20th century, not the Middle Ages. Who would allow such crimes to be committed? How could the world remain silent?
See, but that part right there confused me. I mean, the world didn't remain silent. Thousands and thousands of soldiers died liberating Europe from Hitler. I mean, and then when the concentration camps, when they were finally revealed, the entire world was horrified.
Right, but he's not talking about soldiers. He's talking about citizens under Nazi control in those countries who, you know, maybe they didn't know about the camps, but they saw Jewish people all around them losing their jobs, getting forced into ghetto. They're the ones that didn't do anything.
It's not true that they didn't do anything. Some people risked a lot to help out their Jewish neighbors.
She's right. Resistance was dangerous. Hitler had the Gestapo, people spying on their neighbors.
Come on, you're just listing excuse after excuse after
not only
excuse.
excuse,
It's all it is.
Totally, guys. I'm not saying I envy those people in that situation, but that's kind of the whole point of Wiesel's speech. It's like, you have to speak up.
Right, like right here, he writes, hold on, and that is why I swore never to be silent whenever, wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation. We must take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor and never the victim. I mean, doesn't he mean that people should have stood up to Hitler sooner than they did?
Politicians always tell us what to do, so how are you supposed to know when you're supposed to follow along or when you're supposed to stand up?
Hitler was clearly evil.
That's obvious. But he's not just talking about Hitler. He says here that human rights are being violated on every continent. More people are oppressed than free. And this wasn't the only genocide in history.
You know, I say it all the time, and when another country is involved, it's all about politics.
I never thought I'd say this, but I think you're actually right for once. The Allies didn't fight Hitler because of the Holocaust. They did it because he invaded them,
Yeah,
right?
in other countries where we know human rights are being violated, a lot of times we won't even do anything if it means it's jeopardizing our own economic interests.
So cold. I mean,
That's international relations for you. Don't even get me started on that one.
Okay, I think Weasel's talking about people, not countries. I mean, look, are the bystanders letting these things happen because they're trying to protect themselves, or are they actually just being obedient and maybe not thinking at all?
I think the real question here is, are they enabling the kingdom of night by not speaking up? And the answer is yes.
But taking a stand can mean endangering the lives of your family, okay? And no one should expect to make that choice.
And we should all be very grateful that we don't have to. But
That's right.
I'm sorry, there have been a lot of people who have made huge selfless sacrifices in the name of their cause, and it works.
I have to admit that, sure, intellectually, I know that people's human rights are being violated every single day around the world, but in my day-to-day life, I don't really think about it.
Come on, what exactly are you supposed to do about it anyway?
Weasel would say that you're obligated to do something, or else your own life would be less meaningful. He says, as long as one dissident is in prison, our freedom will not be true. As long as one child is hungry, our life will be filled with shame, or anguish and shame. Shame.
Yeah. And then a couple lines later, he says, while their freedom depends on ours, the quality of our freedom depends on theirs. So it's almost like he's saying you have to liberate others in order to truly be free.
He's asking us to be noble.
You mean Nobel?
Oh my God.
Really, Troy?
Why? What about drawing from personal experience? Anybody have anything they want to share?
Maybe.
Not really.
Volunteers?
Okay, well, I'm not sure how I'm going to use it, but I could see how making a personal connection can help strengthen my argument. Jennings actually suggested that we do a 5 to 10 minute free write where we just kind of get our ideas onto the paper.
Yeah.
You want to try?
5-minute nap sounds perfect to me.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Focus.
Nap time.
The woman in front of me at the register, her kid was like whining about some candy or something, you know, like that stuff they keep at the front. Anyways, she literally just turned around and smacked him. I know, right?
Pretty rude.
I couldn't help myself. I just had to tell her, like, that's not okay to do. You know?
Did she turn around and slap you next?
No, but she did tell me to go mind my own business.
Yeah, my mom would have slapped you silly if you would have interfered with her child raising
No,
techniques.
that explains a
Oh,
lot.
yeah. That seems to work out real well.
Very.
Well, okay, this woman was clearly in the wrong, right? Violence is never excusable, right?
Exactly.
No excuse, really?
Yeah.
Well, where do you draw the line? That's the question, right?
It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe sometimes we should just mind our own business.
You know, who are we to tell someone how to raise their children?
Exactly.
And I mean, who are we to tell somebody what kind of government they should have for that matter?
But speaking up can be a way of imposing your own view. What you think is right, wrong, that's all subjective.
The prompt is asking for us to pick a time when we stood up for something that was clearly wrong.
A lot of gray area.
No.
Yeah. All right. A couple days ago, all right, me and a couple buddies were checking out this chick's Facebook page, and you know, she's pretty hot, but
Always.
like they started writing some pretty mean things on her wall, and I don't know, I was gonna upset her in the end, but I don't know.
And?
What'd you do?
Nothing.
What?
Why not?
That's internet bullying.
No, that's
Internet
not
bullying.
okay. You can't put up with
All
that.
right, maybe I shouldn't have brought this up.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Are you kidding? This is a great example, man. I want to see Troy dig himself out of it.
Okay, you let them get away with it.
I know it was in bad taste, but it was just a joke. They were just messing around, all right? And if I would have gotten on their case about it, I never would have heard the end of it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't want to hear this all season.
That's classic conformity.
You know what? You actually had a chance to really help someone. I know that that's unusual, but yes.
Looking back on it, it's been kind of bugging me, and I guess, you know, I should have said something, but I don't know. This sort of thing happens all the time. Me stopping it once, what's that gonna do?
That's weak justification, dude. I mean, that's Weasel's point. It's the individual. You could have done something.
Okay, well, we are still actually missing one major element.
What's that?
Oh, real danger.
Yes.
Right? And that's the thing. We're talking like annoying a stranger or getting grief from our classmates. But in Nazi Germany, you would have gotten offed if you stood up spoke out.
Hitler was offing people by the thousands.
Okay,
I mean,
Wiesel says one person of integrity can make a difference of life and death. Courage spreads.
hear that, Troy? You speak up so someone doesn't get hurt.
Lay off, all right? Jeez, I feel bad enough already.
I know, it's not an easy thing. But I mean, that's Wiesel's point also. You have to be willing to risk something, you know? Whether it's your freedom or even your life for our principles, right? I mean, it's only natural impulse to just want to look out for yourself. But the point is, it's ethically wrong.
Well, that's probably why he got the Nobel Peace Prize, right? He witnessed what happens when people stop looking out for one another, right? When the Kingdom of Night, it's the world where people only look out for themselves.
When he says in his speech, our lives no longer belong to us alone. They belong to all of those who need us desperately.
He's forcing us to recognize that we are all connected.
We're not free unless everybody's free.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, I suddenly feel so much responsibility.
This was a really good session. I mean, not only just a good start on the project, but I actually really feel like a changed man.
Oh my gosh.
Don't change all of you, just the bad parts.
Actually, you know what? The free write was awesome, and I have a really heroic story to share. Do you guys want to hear it?
You're late for your rehearsal, and I believe you have some pictures to
No,
show me.
I just want
yes,
to.
the pictures,
It's
here.
really fast.
Dude,
It's
check
like
this out.
5
Look at
minutes,
these.
and it was.
Oh my.